Welcome or welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be listening to some beautiful stories about angels. Like and subscribe.
Recently came across that I wanted to share with you guys. So in 1980, I was a single mother with two infants living in San Bernardino, California. Being that I was a single mother, I was always in need of a reliable babysitter. My parents, who only lived about 30 miles away, would help a lot of the times, so I would drop the kids off while I went off to work or take care of any errands I needed to run. One night at about 11:30 p.m., I went to pick up my babies from my parents' house. I used to drive an old beat up truck at the time that had the gas mileage that was broken, so I always had to guess as to when my gas was on empty. A lot of the times, my guessing was off. That night, as I'm about halfway home, my car starts to stall and I realize that I'm on empty. So I pull over to the side of the road. Once I pull over, my car completely goes dead. I look around and see that there's nothing but cornfields all around me. The only thing in sight was a truck stop that was probably a quarter of a mile away. I didn't know what to do. Both of my kids were asleep, so walking while holding both of them to that truck stop in the middle of the night was not an option. Now, this was the time before cell phones, so I had no way of contacting anyone. So I put my head down on the steering wheel while saying a short, panicky prayer. Before I could finish my prayer, I hear a tapping on my window. I look up and I see a young man standing there. He looked to be about 21 years old and motioned for me to roll down the window. Not normally, I would have been terrified of encountering anyone in the middle of the night, but for whatever reason, I wasn't afraid. He didn't ask if I needed help. Instead, he told me to put the car in neutral and that he would help me navigate it all the way to the truck stop. Once we made it over that hill, the car started to roll all the way down towards the truck stop. I turned around to thank him, but the man was nowhere in sight. Now, this was a remote area. There was absolutely nowhere he could have gone. My car continued to roll down the hill until I got to the truck stop and I was able to get gas. My kids remained asleep throughout the whole thing.
I've encountered angels at least three times in my lifetime. And I'll tell you about one in 2007. I was on a 7-day fast. I was fasting and praying and trusting God and believing God for something. And I had another encounter where my spirit came out of my body and I was being carried. And I'll never forget, I was moving slowly, but I heard wind gusting past my ears, almost like when you're on the freeway and you let your windows down and you hear that breeze, a powerful breeze coming in. But I'm wondering, why am I hearing this breeze but I'm moving slowly? And I looked over to see, what was carrying me. Turns out that the sound was coming from the wings of an angel. And when I saw the wings, every feather was alive. It wasn't like a bird or something. Every feather was alive. And it was producing that wind. And the angel was carrying me, and I began to see into apartment buildings. I began to see things inside of the city that I was looking over, and I could see the hurts of people and what people needed prayer for and what needed to be done. And after all that was over, I was taken back to the spot that I was taken from, and I saw the angel, and the angel was a tall, fierce angel. He was like a warrior angel, and I knew that he was sent there to protect me. And I believe that the angel has been with me since 2007 and probably before. We have angels that watch over us. The Bible says that concerning Jesus, he's given his angels charge over us. And then he speaks in the book of Hebrews that angels are ministering spirits. So they're real. And it also says, be careful how you treat strangers, because you could be entertaining an angel unawarely.
I never really shared the story about how I met a real life angel. At the time, I was walking my dog at the same place at the same time every day for 5 or 6 years, and I would always see the same people. One of those people was this elder Spanish man, and he always had a Spanish nickname for my dog that I can't remember now because it was so long ago. But he always asked the same questions and said the same things. One day, he said his usual things to me and my dog, And as I pass him, he says, "Hey." And I turn around. He said, "You know, we see each other at the same time, at the same place, every day, for a long time now." And I said, "Yeah, I know that." And he said, "So how do you know if I'm real?" But for whatever reason, I felt very, very calm. And I said, "I don't." And he then said, "Maybe I came to protect you." And I just looked at him because I was in such darkness at the time of my life. And I smiled and I said, "Maybe." He said, "Okay, well, you have a good day." I said, "Okay." So I turned back around and I stood there for a moment, and I paused. And I thought to myself, what was that? Um, I turned back around to see him. He's gone. So I was like, okay. So I turned back to go forward, but I looked down at my feet for whatever reason, and there were feathers all around me on the ground by my feet. I broke down and cried because that was the message I needed to receive at the time. That I was protected, that I was being guided, and that God is real. And I never saw him again. After 6 years of seeing him every day at the same time, at the same place, I never saw him again.
The girl that made the viral video about guardian angels a week ago. And ever since then, you guys have been sending so many stories in, and I've been tagged in so many videos about the angels showing up. So I thought it's time that I'd whip out some of my insane stories. Stick with me because honestly, the story starts when I was back in April. I was dead broke trying to move to London. And I remember one night I was out in nature and I go, how do I get money? I wake up the next day with a loud ass voice in my head saying, "Sell your couch." And I'm like, what? Get in my car and trying to go to work, and Gaia pops up. And I'm like, okay, whatever, maybe I'll listen to this today. Click the first video that popped up, and it's an interview with Tom T. Moore, and he explains how to ask for the most benevolent outcome from your angel. I get to work, I'm feeling hella inspired. I look down at my phone, and my random friend just asked me, "What did you ever end up doing with your couch?" And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, maybe this is like the sign I need to sell the couch. And then I get a flashback and I'm like, oh my goodness. I was looking through my old journal the other day. The receipt from the couch fell out of the journal, which is super random. Like, what? So I literally ask my angels, I go, "Angels, give me the most benevolent outcome for selling this couch. If this is what I need to do to get to London, all right." So honestly, I say fuck work and I look up how much I paid for this couch. I recreate the couch on Restoration Hardware's website, and I realize that this couch that I made is the exact one, but it's $3,000 cheaper than what I paid for it. And yes, I paid fucking $13,000 for this couch. Okay, I manifested, all right? It just happened. It came into my life like that. I don't want to hear it. Queen needs her throne, all right? Like, this is so odd. Like, I remember having to sign an IRS form for this couch. And this couch was $9,000 that I'm looking at on the website. I can't even concentrate on work at this point. I go to my dad and I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm going to Restoration Hardware. Granted, I bought this couch 2 years ago in 2021. So I go home. I go downstairs. I find the receipt from the journal and I bring it in to Restoration Hardware and I talk to the manager. And she goes, "Oh my goodness, yeah, we made a mistake. We didn't give you the membership price. Like, we didn't take that off." 2 weeks later, I get a check in the mail for almost $3,000. This bitch didn't even have to sell her couch. She just made $3,000 off of it. And moral of the story is now I live in London.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.